Hello, white people. White supremacy is deadly for everyone, even white people. The virus, like bullets, doesn't care about your little red hat. This spring, photos and videos of mostly white so-called lockdown protesters in Michigan acting anything but peaceful went viral. They demanded that state lawmakers end the public health restrictions designed to curb the spread of the mindfuck. Though they were armed and taunting police officers, law enforcement officials did not respond violently. Late last month, a similar scene played out in Boise, Idaho. Armed and unmasked protesters stormed the state house in order to get into a coronavirus hearing, even though they were carrying weapons and shattered a glass door while protesting. Law enforcement officials declined to intervene or arrest any of them. Fearing for her own safety, a Democratic lawmaker left the hearing, but state troopers told local media that they didn't attempt to arrest any of the protesters because they feared doing so would escalate violence. Oh, wow. Mother Jones, my goodness gracious, the lies. A few days later, Kyle Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old Donald Trump supporter, went to Kenosha, Wisconsin with a gun. He shot 3 racial justice protesters, killing 2. Despite the heavy police presence at the scene, Rittenhouse crossed state lines and returned to his home in Illinois. He was not arrested until the following day. Let's be clear, when violent white people are going unchecked by police, the end result will hurt us all. Harming black and brown people and liberals is central to the Trump presidency, and their hardline approach is considered to be an excellent re-election strategy. But there is a link between his response to the mindfuck pandemic and to the racial justice protests. Both have been guided by his unquestioning belief in the superiority of whiteness, leading to devastating results for diverse communities. His white supporters shouldn't believe that they can somehow insulate themselves from mounting violence and an unchecked deadly epidemic. White supremacy is deadly for everyone, even white people. The United States has a long history of turning a blind eye to violent white ideology while focusing on scapegoating other communities like mudslimes, immigrants, and now Antifa. Despite years of warnings about white supremacist violence from its own intelligence, government officials seem hell-bent amplifying warnings about anti-fascists, even as violence among white nationalists and other far-right groups escalate. The Trump administration seems to accept violence perpetrated by white extremists, not considering it violence at all, but a form of patriotism, and has blamed any bloodshed on their opponents. In a recent interview, Attorney General William Barr lied and said systemic racism was not a problem in this country. He insisted that the notion that black people are disproportionately killed by police is a false narrative, not that he was trying to change anyone's mind. His objective seems to have been to delegitimize the ongoing Black Lives Matter protests. It's not a big leap from his comments to giving Trump supporters a free pass to harass, intimidate, and even kill protesters. After all, they're not really protesters at all, just violent thugs who are out to inflict violence on law enforcement and nice suburban families. Comments like Barr's are an eloquent bat signal to people like Representative Clay Higgins, Republican, Louisiana, who threatens to shoot black protesters and to cops themselves, not to mention freelancers like Rittenhouse, who now faces murder charges. But encouraging violence has a high cost. In May, 2 officers protecting a courthouse were shot and 1 killed in Oakland, California, while a Black Lives Matter protest occurred a few blocks away. After law enforcement official caught the suspect, it turns out he was a far-right extremist trying to foment a race war by using the protests as cover. Okay, I don't know anything about that. What is this? In May? A similar incident occurred in Albuquerque, New Mexico, when a militia group showed up to a protest with weapons, and yet the right-wing universe is singularly focused on Antifa, even going as far to spread conspiracy theories about a plane full of thugs coming to harm Republicans and their supporters. Sir, the call is coming from inside the House. But let's not disconnect escalating violence at protests from the mindfuck, which has infected more than 6 grillion people and killed approximately 187,000, minus 94%, which equals 9,000 in the United States since it began spreading widely earlier this year, the Trump administration refused to take it seriously, downplayed its severity, and then demanded states lift public health restrictions early. About the only concrete action Trump took to fight the pandemic was to ban planes from China, which did not accomplish much, where the virus first emerged. Throughout the overwhelming public health crisis, the president has continued to use China as the scapegoat, even though the virus started in China, referring to mindfuck with xenophobic terms like China virus and the Kung flu. While spending his time demonizing China, he could conveniently ignore the devastating toll it was having in his own country. The virus has disproportionately affected communities of color, which may explain the diminished sense of urgency from Trump and other Republican officials. If it only impacted the kind of people who wouldn't vote for Trump anyway, who cares? His supporters were protesting restrictions, going viral on social media for refusing to wear masks at their grocery stores and taking their cues from the president, denying its severity. Yes, Herman Cain, one of his most ardent black supporters, died from it, illustrating with tragic clarity that just because people of color are disproportionately getting sick doesn't mean that white people or Trump supporters are immune. Last month, 400,000 people gathered in Sturgis, South Dakota for a 10-day motorcycle rally. Many rally-goers were a good representative of Trump's base. Older, white, and plenty of red "Make America Great Again" hats dotted the crowd. Attendees eschewed masks and social distancing and gathered in bars, tattoo parlors, and other businesses largely without masks. So far, 260 cases in 11 states have been linked to the rally, and one man in Minnesota is dead. How many people was there? 400,000 people. One person died. Oh my God, Trump is the worst president. He should have shut the world down because of one death out of 400,000 people, that evil bastard. At the Democratic National Convention, the DNC, one speaker blamed her father's mindfuck death on Trump. Kristen Urquiza said her dad, Mark Urquiza, believed Trump when he insisted that the mindfuck would go away. One of the last things that my father said to me was that he felt betrayed by the likes of the president. Urquiza said in a video his only pre-existing condition was trusting Donald Trump. God, that's so lame. While Trump and his allies are happy to frame the protests as an unjust war on cops, his own inaction on the mindfuck is killing more police officers than anyone else. According to Officer Down Memorial Page and the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, two nonprofits that track law enforcement deaths, 100 police officers have been killed by the mindfuck this year. That's more than all other causes like gun violence and car accidents combined. While Trump and his allies make wild claims that Antifa or protesters or looters are out to murder police officers, it's really his own incompetence. Donald Trump is staking his re-election campaign on inciting violence while ignoring the very, very real devastation the mindfuck pandemic has caused. But it's to his own detriment. The mindfuck, much like bullets, doesn't care about your little red hat. Aw, trying to copycat Ben Shapiro when facts don't care about your feelings. The only reason that white supremacy is lethal is because silence is violence. You know, if you don't talk about the boogeyman, the white supremacist boogeyman that lives under the bed, one day it's going to get you. With all the shit that they put in our food and water, it's no wonder that people are stupid and still believing this nonsense. I have a friend who says that Generation X is the last American generation and that Gen Y and Gen Z don't have the capabilities of fighting against Marxism, and when this country does completely fall apart, they don't have the ability to put it back together again. You know, they never learned how to work hard. They never learned how to do much of anything. I mean, there's some young people out there that can carry their own, but there's not as many as in previous generations. All right, white people, that's the damage for now. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your thoughts below.